This is Paul.
And this is Rabbi Doug.
Stay tuned
For Taped with Rabbi Doug next.
Gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. Glad you can be with us today. My guest today is a returning guest, but not for many years, Mr. Gary Kenzer. How are you, Gary?
How are you? Thank you for inviting me back.
Gary was the executive director of Mogen David USA and built it up to a wonderful organization. And with a merger and put together the organization off on their own.
Absolutely.
And working with Mogen David in Israel directly.
Beautiful.
And you have gone on now to work as the USA Executive Director of Honest Reporting. And once again, you are working for Israel.
Yes.
This is your life mission. Is Israel. You've been such for Israel. Let me tell you a little bit about Gary. He's been with Honest Reporting since September 2006. Prior to that, and prior to David, he's worked with other Jewish agencies, including Jewish Community Centers of Chicago and BBYO. He believes in knowing organizations that he works with from the inside out, gives him a deep understanding of their workings, and makes him an effective speaker and representative. He spoke at international conferences over last year. In his week of Honest Reporting, he traveled to Israel and worked and learned firsthand how senior media editors and other Honest Reporting researchers manage media bias through their research and reporting. Gary, of course, is a big supporter, and he's a founding leader in the Foundation of Jewish Education, Amir, which takes postpartum bouts with young people to Israel experience every February for 1 week. And he's also led numerous missions to Israel in his professional life. And some of my friends have gone with you.
Absolutely.
Gary's been in nonprofit field since 1984. He's a graduate of the University of Illinois Jane Addams College of Social Work, certified Academy, certified social workers, the CAW. Gary and his wife Cynthia are committed members of the Jewish community, both are founding members of Kehillat Shalom Congregation. Gary is involved with Jewish Education and a national member of the Coalition for Advanced Jewish Education organization and the yearly Cade conference he's involved with. And they have a daughter in high school, and she's gone to school throughout her life, Jewish day schools. And Gary's certainly a profound member of the Chicago Jewish community. And Gary, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. And, you know, the Honest Reporting says that because obviously you guys honor media,
right.
Jewish and non-Jewish, Israeli and non-Israeli,
Absolutely.
Political and non-political. And you guys who, when we read your reviews and writing on articles printed in the Israeli newspapers, Arab newspapers, and TV and media, you tell us what's fact and what is fiction.
Correct.
How information this out? How did you develop them?
Well, great question. I tell you, I want to show you a picture that many people in the audience who will take a look at this will see, and will probably remember the picture. It's December 30th of 2000, and a young man whose name is Tuvia Grossman, from Roger Park, who's made Aliyah recently, on his way to the wall just before Rosh Hashanah, and he taken a cab because he was running at the vestment, and he was literally beat up by 4 very angry Arabs had beaten him up. And I have a story of what he wrote in his personal journal, but he actually got away from this angry mob and got a chance to sit up on this rock. And this is the point. Picture that you see here was when the media jumped and took pictures of it. And it's very interesting. If you look at this picture, they said here, an Israeli policeman and Palestinian on Temple Mount. So if you really look very carefully at this picture, first of all, you see that you have a gas station with Hebrew letters in the background. Now, last time I looked, there's no gas station on Temple Mount, especially one with Hebrew letters. Yeah. And if you look very carefully, they make the conclusion that this Israeli policeman, who turns out was a soldier, an IDF soldier, had actually beaten up this kid who was Palestinian, when in fact he had rescued this kid from the angry Arab mob. An American Jew. And thank you to the New York Times, because they screwed one up so badly. They were the only paper here in the United States that printed it. And it was printed all over the world, but in the United States, the New York Times was the only one that printed this photo with the wrong caption, with the terrible caption. So when that went all over the world, that picture, when the other media outlets, a number of college students in the UK were so outraged at how wrong the media got it that they said, we can't sit back and let this happen again and again and again. So after about 6 weeks, they came up with this organization that they created themselves right from the ground, with a website that was very educational and today continues to educate people in very short bullet points on what media does and how we as advocates can advocate for the truth. And this is just a very interesting example of how the media got it so wrong.
How does a nonprofit organization like Honest Reporting continue to fund employees, so on and so forth? Where does the funding for a nonprofit organization like this come from? Because I could see something that could start as a website from college students,
Sure.
but where does it build into a real organization and a working system?
It's unbelievable how people from all over the world, from as far away as Brazil, from South Africa, from the UK, from France, from Japan, from Canada, all over the world have now seen this website. Many of the countries have translated the website into their own their home language. And our website is seen in 40 countries now, all over the world. And we get donors from all over who donate online to us and support us. We have right now about 25,000 donors who support our organization, which we're not talking a very large organization. I have to tell you, I'm the full-time employee that works outside of Jerusalem. Everybody else is based in Jerusalem, which is good. I like the fact that it's an Israeli-based organization. And there's 7 of us all together that work for the organization. So a very mighty cause.
Now, you must spend a lot of time during the day reading through the different medias. For example, our Sheva and the Jerusalem Post, all these newspapers and articles that come out, plus the Arab publications and their translations into English, in your case, where I know they're reading them in their native language in Israel itself and doing this. And so do you spend most of your, in this position, do you spend most of your day monitoring the different medias yourself so they're able to be on top of things without seeking and sharing?
Actually, all of us do. We have a full-time person who's our blog master who literally reads 200 papers, online editions of papers from all over the world every day, Sunday through Thursday. And he produces a report for us internally that has, and on a slow day, we'll have about 4 or 6 bias reports. So remember, we're talking about media bias that happens all over the world, not only in London and Paris and in South Africa, but it happens here in the United States as well. And I'll tell you something, very important that people understand. You know, people used to say, you know, it's London's problem. It's printed in a London paper, so it's not our problem. The fact is that if it's online and it's reachable by virtual, internet that people have these days, that means it's all of our problems, because I can read the London paper, I can read the South African paper right from my desktop of my computer. And we know that people, for example, the past summer with war in Lebanon, we know that the BBC had some 2 million page hits on their website just about the war in Lebanon. And of those 2 million page hits, we know that about 60% of those were from computer addresses from right here from the United States. And we know the BBC is not friend to Israel. So it's very important people understand that. I want to show you just some examples. It's very important to know that when people look at stories or they look at pictures, that they really look for something larger than the picture. And this is a perfect example. This is a picture of a spontaneous rock throwing. Can you see that? And this is a young man who was throwing rocks, okay, on a spontaneous rock throwing. But if we open up this picture, we will show you that this was such a spontaneous rock throwing that 125 photographers were there waiting to take that picture. But people probably didn't see the photographers. Rarely did that picture get printed. This is the picture that everybody saw. So it's very important people understand the full breadth of a picture. I'll give you another example. Very important photo. This past summer, this is a picture that was taken by a Time photographer. Okay? So what do you see here? You see a soldier, and there's a fire in the background. So he was told from the war in Lebanon that there was an Israeli jet that was blown out of the sky. And he thought, this doesn't sound right. Something doesn't sound right about an Israeli jet blown out of the sky in Lebanon. So he went to the scene and took this photo, and then after the fire was taken out, he went behind the scenes and took these photos. It's very important you look at these photos, because this on top here shows the truck, and this here shows a small crater that the fire caused, okay? But no jet, no body from the airplane. So he emailed this photo to his editors and said that it was a missile rocket launcher that was blown out of the sky, because he knows that missile rocket launchers were put into trucks so that they can be movable. And the Time editor changed the headline to IDF jet was blown out of the sky. Okay, so this is stuff that happens all the time.
How do we as people who are reading these periodicals, how do we correct the terrible impression that is made throughout the world by misinformation, by false stories, false pictures, changed headlines? Obviously, this many people read Honest Reporting's report on these things.
Sure.
This many people read the headline that was false. Where do we come to try and save face?
Look, the whole idea behind organizations like ours or Camera, great organizations, is that we're not going to get even the retractions to be seen by the same people that saw the wrong information. That's not the intent. It would be nice, but we know that that's virtually impossible. What our whole goal is really to put on notice to editors and to journalists and to photographers that there are people who are watching everything very carefully. And that's what our job is to teach people, don't take the picture at what you see at face value. I'll give you another example, a very perfect example. Everybody saw from the war in Lebanon this photo of Beirut burning. This is a very famous picture.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but it was fortunately from a evangelical Christian in south of Milwaukee who saw this picture and saw that photo editing software, something didn't look right. The fact that the billowing smoke looked too much the same and it was all too clean. And if you look very carefully at this picture, you see that there's something missing. Whenever there's smoke, what's always there?
Fire.
No fire in this picture. So the guy really messed up and didn't even have that. So now, when they issued the photo kill, Reuters, who was the one that circulated this, their photo kill said inappropriate use of photo editing software was used. Okay, well, we took that information and emailed it out to our subscribers, 150,000 subscribers, and Reuters got 40,000 emails from our subscribers saying, how dare you even use photo editing software when you're taking pictures? Mission accomplished. Just as long as they know that we're putting them on notice.
Right.
The second thing I want people to understand, it's very important. If you look at a photo and somehow it just doesn't add up in your mind or you have suspicions about a photo, just your gut's telling you something's not right about it.
Well, I'll tell you a famous one. There's the famous one of the guy standing in his coat on top of the World Trade Center with an airplane coming at it.
Oh,
which is you must
classic.
know that photo. Classic.
It's
photo
classic.
editing.
Classic. Okay.
And know that it was
but
fake.
whoever looked to see the photographer's name and to Google or do a search on the photographer and see what kinds of projects that this person's been doing. I will tell you that of recent, first of all, people should know that most of the photos that are taken, particularly in Gaza and the West Bank areas these days, are not taken by professional photographers anymore because nobody's going to go in those areas. So they're basically buying digital cameras and computers to anybody who will take them. So that's important people understand that right off the bat, that these are not professional photographers. So there's going to be bias in the photos.
Bias or setup for the
Or
picture.
setup, so it's very important people understand that. But I just recently Googled one of the photographers and found that this particular guy, one of his big projects that he's doing is the Zionist plot to overtake the world. We need to stop it. Okay, so I didn't know this about the photograph. I saw his photograph and it just didn't look right.
A little web search gave you all the information you needed.
Not only did it give me that, but it gave me an unbelievable picture that I'd like to show everybody here. And it's an amazing picture, and people may not quite get this picture, but we'll have it as a close-up also. And this is a picture that's literally showing a bunch of little kids under the age of 5 watching a grown adult as he's getting ready to blow himself up. Okay? This is this photograph, which, by the way, won an award in the Arab media as an excellent photograph. We would see this photograph and go, my God, this is not bordering on child abuse. It is child abuse.
Absolutely.
So we have to be incredibly knowledgeable about what we're looking at, and don't take anything at face value. That's the whole goal behind our organization. And I have to tell you, the second thing about our organization is we are not censoring people from their opinion. We're just concerned when people take opinion and they mesh it together with factual articles. You know, articles should be factual, and opinions should be put in op-ed or letters to the editor. That's the place. They don't have any business with factual articles. And when that happens, we're going to be all over them.
Are we able to verify what writers and what photographers and what reporters are honest reporting?
Well,
Are they identified by your organization?
we're getting pretty close to a good number of them, okay? I'm not at liberty to discuss those right now.
Of course.
But let's go to another untold story that most people don't even know about. Let's go back. I hate to keep going back to the war in Lebanon from last summer, but it was a very vivid description of problems in the media, particularly in Lebanon, what happened there. Most people, when they saw what was going on, if you ask the average person on the street, what do you remember about the war in Lebanon? They will tell you all the vivid images that they saw in Lebanon, and they'll say almost nothing about the images that they saw in Israel.
Right.
Very few. What most people don't realize is when you saw these journalists and these reporters on TV showing all these intimate areas in Lebanon, in particular in Beirut, they were accompanied by a Hezbollah press officer. Hezbollah has a full staff of 12 press officers working full-time. They're not dumb. It's a very smart move, okay, to have a press office and have press officers. But what people really don't know about is when you go to another country, what's the most important thing when you travel into a foreign country that you take with you? Your passport. It's very important. When you go to that country, you get stamped in, and then they give you back your passport, right? Mm-hmm. The journalists and everybody who reported in the war in Lebanon, their passports were held by the Hezbollah press office until they left. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm telling you, as far as I would feel, if anybody held my passport, I would not feel very comfortable at pushing the envelope. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Most people don't realize that. Right. Most people realize that it looked terrible in the Lebanon side, so it must have just been so god-awful, but nobody ever thought, how did they show this? And they only showed a very small area. This was not the whole country, but everybody seemed to think that this was the whole country. So it was very deceiving.
Unbelievable.
Okay, fortunately, many of these reporters that got out then came clean to our organization that this was not the best situation that we could have been in.
For honest reporting.
And thank goodness for honest reporting. You know, there's all kinds of examples that we could show. You know, there's the famous picture with the guy with the green hat. Have you seen this?
Yes.
You know, so in one picture, he's dead, and then an hour later, he's cleaning up people and helping save, okay? Come on, okay? People have to be knowledgeable about this stuff. This is not difficult to find. People could find this online, too.
Really?
It's not that complicated.
You brought a little video. We're going to take a look at that. I'm here with Gary Kenzer, and he is the USA Executive Director of Honest Reporting. And this is Taped with Rabbi Doug, and we'll be right back.
A veritable propaganda strategy is being implemented by the Palestinian authorities, directly aimed at motivating the hearts and minds of young children. They are urged to take part willingly in terrorist acts. Children are instructed, throw down your toys and replace them with rocks. The goal of this training is to program the children to be ready and willing to murder and kill of their own free will, even if it means that they themselves will die. Teaching children to hate inundates them from all directions. Cartoons and caricatures in children's magazines and newspapers remind them to throw stones. Photographs of child shahidim or martyrs adorn every wall.
Stay tuned. Taped with Rabbi Doug will be right back.
Once they've outgrown their toddler seat, they're still not ready for adult safety belts alone. 4'9" is the magic number. Until then, kids need a booster seat. Make sure your little pumpkin gets there safely. Visit boosterseat.gov.
I'm Lisa Lowe. You're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
All right. We're back, and I'm here with Gary Kenzer, the Executive Director for the USA of Honest Reporting. Gary, you yourself obviously travel to Israel often. Mm-hmm. You've been there more times than probably any of us could ever count. What do you think is is the most amazing thing going on in Israel today. I know, we talked about Mogen David Adom you were with for many years, and now they're part of the International Organization of Red Crosses. After so many years, the International Red Cross is accepted, and I know you worked for that for so many years, so you've seen that accomplishment. What do you want to accomplish with Honest Reporting? And when you go to Israel today, what is the most amazing thing that moves you?
Well, first of all, for Honest Reporting, I want to be able to engage millions of people throughout the country. Right now we're very happy that we have an email list of 150,000 people. I want that to be 1 million people. There are millions of people who love Israel. Now we've got to educate them and understand that the images that people see, whether they're right or wrong, and we want them to be right, but the fact is that the media is very powerful in what their images are. And if it's told by enough people, whether it's true or not, it becomes reality for people. It's very important that the reality is the truth instead of what the media is making it out to be. Because we ultimately know that whatever the images are and whatever people see ultimately influences public policy and foreign policy. So it's very important. That's why there are organizations like AIPAC is so important, because they work on the positive image and the strong image of Israel in the electoral area. It's very important. That's our responsibility, is for everybody else outside of the electoral area to get them motivated and engaged. What do I see as the most exciting thing in Israel right now? I'm going to be going in just a couple of weeks again.
As you mentioned. It's
absolutely amazing to see the resiliency of the people of Israel, that life goes on, that there's amazing accomplishments, that there's research and technology. I tell it to everybody. They say, well, tell us an example of some of the technology. I say, how many of you use the instant messenger? As a classic example. And almost everybody raises their hands, and I say, you should thank Israeli teenagers for coming up with that technology. These teenagers now are, in their late 20s, and they're incredibly rich, but thank these people. So there's so much technology and so much research. The thing that makes me very sad is the poverty. It continues to be, just a classic problem in Israel. But there are wonderful organizations out there, too, that are just helping in that particular cause, too. The fact that Aliyah is up, that there are more people coming to Israel than ever before, even in our own community here, it's such an exciting time. It's a great time to be.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
And to go to Israel, it's very important. If I could tell anything more important, is that this is family. And whether it's good times or bad times. In good times, it's easy to go visit family. But when it's hard, that's when family needs you the most. And it's very important to remember.
Very nice, very nice. I can't thank you enough for being on the show. It's been amazing, as always, to talk with you, because you have so much to share. In closing, in just our last minute or so, can you tell me what you think is going to be the near future political situation in Israel from as you see it with Honest Reporting? And I know it's up in the air, but what are the experts saying?
In terms of politics in Israel?
In terms of politics and what's going to be...
Actually, there's it's so hard to get a read for that right now. The country's so much on the edge right now. There's been lots of resignations in all kinds of branches right now. There's an investigation going on with the president right now. I think that's their least problem right now, is they're just trying to get through the next 6 months to a year. I suspect that there's going to be a call for an election. We're just not quite sure where that's heading, to be perfectly honest with you.
I understand.
It's very unusual. But we hope more people will go to our website and will look at our website, which is honestreporting.com. And that they will also feel free to give me a call. We'd be more than happy to speak to groups all over the country.
What's your phone number in your office?
It's very easy, 847-674-TRUE, T-R-U-E.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I wish you much success.
Thank you.
This is a nonprofit organization.
Absolutely.
It's here for the good of the people, and I hope many people will take advantage of the opportunity to learn from Honest Reporting and from Gary Kenzer.
And we're here.
I'm sure you also invite people who see things in the media that they're questioning to report it to you guys.
Absolutely. Call me. Email me. You can find all my
Very
information on
good.
our website.
All right, and we'll flash it
you.
at the end of the show. Gary
Thank you
Kenzer
very
of Honest Reporting, thank you again for being on the show. I want to thank all of you. Remember our website, www.tvrabbi.com. And if you want to drop me an email and you don't remember Gary's or you don't write it down at the end of the show, I'll be happy to forward it to him. info@tvrabbi.com is that email address. Once again, I want to thank Gary Kenzer. I want to thank all of my crew out here, Alan, Diana, Dan, and Daniel, and hope to see you all next time, same place, right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom.
And I'm talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug on your TV show. Well, he's the rabbi for me. Anytime you need. You're gonna get married or you're gonna die. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.